I thought I was done trading machines for a while. The old harvester had been with me through dust and rain, but lately it started showing its true colors. Small faults at first, a sensor here, a belt there. Then one day it simply refused to start. That silence, it wasn't just a machine breaking down. It felt like something inside me gave up with it. So I did what I always end up doing. I sold it. Another chapter closed, another promise broken. I told myself it was for the best. Maybe I could find something that worked. Something that didn't fight me every step of the way. Watching it leave the yard felt strange. The pickup in its trailer went with it too. The last pieces of what once felt like freedom. Every sale buys me a little progress, but it also sells off a piece of my history. Grandpa's old truck, gone. His tractors too. All the things that once tied me to him are fading. Traded away for a dream I'm still not sure I can afford. And yet deep down, I still believe this is the way forward. Maybe pain is the price of growth. Maybe losing what once was is the only way to build what could be. After weeks of searching, I found it. A used harvester that looked rough on the outside, but something about it felt right. The engine turned smooth, no warning lights, no strange sounds. For the first time in a long while, I felt like the farm was breathing again. That first harvest with it wasn't perfect, but it worked. No breakdowns halfway through a field, no crawling under panels with oil dripping down my arms. Just the steady rhythm of gears and grain, a sound that almost felt like peace. For a moment, I let myself believe that maybe, finally, I could just farm. No more chasing parts or patching dreams together. Just long days, the dust in the air, and the feeling of progress. news travels fast, and when I heard about that massive harvester being sold off, something inside me stirred. They said it was nearly new, a machine made for giants, and it was going for half of what it should. At first, I laughed it off. There was no way I could afford it, but the thought didn't go away. Each night, I'd find myself thinking about it, how much faster the fields could be done, how much more I could grow, how much bigger this could all become. Somewhere between logic and longing, a decision began to form. Because deep down, I wasn't chasing comfort anymore. I was chasing the dream that started all of this in the first place. It started as a thought I couldn't shake. Then it became a plan I couldn't stop thinking about. The big machine, the one everyone said was too much, too expensive, too heavy, too risky. I ran the numbers a dozen times. It didn't make sense on paper, but neither did staying small, watching opportunity pass by while I patched up what was left. So I called the bank, and for the first time in years, I asked for a loan. $100,000. When the approval came through, my hands were shaking, not from excitement, from fear, because I knew what it meant. There was no turning back now. Every bolt, every drop of fuel, every sunrise, it all had to count. The day it arrived, the ground shook under its weight. A real machine, something built for scale. Beside it, my other equipment looked like toys. A new sprayer, a bigger trailer, and a tractor powerful enough to pull it all. For a moment, I felt like I'd finally stepped into the world I'd been chasing for so long. Even my neighbor, the one who's helped me out more times than I can count, stood there smiling. He knew what it meant. This wasn't just another upgrade, it was a declaration. But behind the pride was something heavier. The pickup was gone. The trailer sold. The last of Grandpa's machines, all gone. Everything I could sell, I did. Every corner of the farm now carried debt and hope in equal measure. And still, when I stood in that field and heard the new harvester roar to life, I believed. For the first time in a long time, I truly believed that maybe this was the turning point. Nights feel longer now. Maybe it's the weight of what I've taken on, or maybe it's just the silence after the noise fades. When the engines stop and the lights go out, it's just me and the thoughts I try not to think. What if I went too far this time? What if all I've built ends up crushing me instead of lifting me? Every decision carries a price, and lately it feels like I've paid more than I had to give. But then morning comes, and I see the mist rising over the fields, the big harvester waiting, the tractor gleaming under the first light. And for a few seconds, I forget the fear. I just stand there and breathe. Because this is what I dreamed of. A real farm. Not a memory, not a promise, but something alive. I remember Grandpa's voice, how he used to say, "Don't be afraid to bet on yourself." I don't know if he'd call this courage or foolishness, but I know he'd understand the feeling. That hunger to make it work, no matter what it costs. Even the cattle grazing on the hills now feel like part of that gamble. I joined forces with a neighbor just to afford them. Two people holding on to the same fragile hope. That if we work hard enough, next year will be different. Pause and soft ending break. Maybe I have been reckless. Maybe I've gone too far. But sometimes you have to burn the old bridges to make sure you don't walk back. And if I can just make it through this year, maybe then the risk will have been worth it. Until then, it's back to work, because dreams don't grow on their own. The first weeks after the harvest felt strange. Everything was bigger now. The machines, the fields, the responsibility. But somehow I didn't feel bigger myself, just smaller inside it all. Each morning I'd wake before the sun, the air cold and heavy with silence. I'd sit for a moment on the edge of the bed, listening to the wind against the walls, trying to remember why I started all this. There's a kind of weight that doesn't come from metal or money. It comes from knowing that every move matters now. Every mistake has a price tag, and every victory feels a little too fragile to celebrate. Still, the work kept me grounded. Fields to tend, repairs to make, plans to draw for the next season. I started keeping a small notebook, writing down ideas, numbers, and thoughts before bed. Maybe it was a way to keep the fear organized, or maybe it was just proof that I was still fighting. And then one morning, something shifted. The sun broke through the fog, lighting up the machines lined across the yard. It wasn't pride I felt, more like quiet gratitude for surviving another day, for still being here. Maybe success isn't something that happens all at once. Maybe it's just the sum of all the times you refuse to give up. buyer called about some leftover grain. The price wasn't great, but it was something. Enough to cover the next payment, enough to breathe for a week. I didn't tell anyone, not even the neighbor who'd helped me through so much. Superstition, maybe, or just fear of saying the word luck out loud. Out here, luck has a way of disappearing the moment you acknowledge it. Still, I felt it, a small shift, the kind that makes you walk a little lighter, hum a tune while checking the fences, or smile when the tractor starts on the first try. Then the weather turned in my favor. Good soil, good rain, good timing. The kind of mix you can't buy, no matter how much equipment you own. And for the first time, I saw the fields growing exactly as I'd imagined them. Cattle partnership with my neighbors started to make sense too. They grazed deep into the valley, healthy, calm, a sign that maybe we'd done something right. Every evening I'd watch the sunset behind the new machines, the metal catching the last light of the day, a reminder of how far I'd come and how fragile it all still was. Because even when things go right, a farmer never really relaxes. There's always the next storm, the next bill, the next unexpected break. But that night, as the sky burned orange and the air cooled, I let myself believe, just for a moment, that maybe I was finally turning the corner. The season began to shift. Days grew shorter and the air turned sharp. Each morning felt heavier with meaning. Like every cloud, every gust of wind was a message about what was coming. I could feel it in my bones. Harvest was close. The moment everything would be tested, the new machines, the soil, and every choice I'd made along I walked the fields in silence, running my hand across the heads of grain. They were full, golden, heavy, more promise than I'd seen in years. But I'd learned not to trust appearances. Crops can turn on you overnight. One bad storm, one broken bearing, and months of work vanish like smoke. The new harvester waited in the shed, towering and still. Every time I looked at it, I felt both pride and fear. It was everything I had, and everything I stood to lose. My neighbor stopped by one evening. We didn't talk much, just leaned against the fence, watching the sky turn to fire. He said, "Whatever happens, you did the right thing taking the chance." I didn't answer, I just nodded, because sometimes silence is the only honest reply. That night, I couldn't sleep. The wind was picking up, rattling the walls, carrying the smell of rain. I lay there listening, wondering if this was the calm before the storm or the start of something greater. One way or another, the fields were ready, and so was I. The first cut of the season is always the hardest. You never know what you'll find beneath the dust. Success or disappointment, profit or pain. As the blade started spinning, the roar filled the valley. That sound, deep, steady, alive, was everything I'd been chasing. Each pass through the field felt like reclaiming a piece of the dream. Hours turned into days, long nights under cold light, fuel fumes, and the hum of machinery. The big harvester moved like it was born here, devouring acres that once took me weeks. I watched the trailers fill, load after load, until even the bins overflowed. But the numbers weren't what I expected. Costs, repairs, transport. They cut deeper than I'd planned. The profit was real, but smaller than it looked from a distance. Enough to stay afloat, not enough to breathe easy. Still, I couldn't call it failure, because for the first time in years, I'd made it through a full season without breaking down, the machines or myself. When it was over, I parked the harvester at the edge of the field. The sun was low, painting the dust in gold. For a long time, I just stood there listening to the ticking metal as it cooled. It wasn't triumph. It wasn't defeat. It was something quieter, like peace finally remembering my name. I thought about everything I'd sold to get here. The pickup, the old trailers, Grandpa's truck. All the pieces of a smaller life traded for a chance at something greater. Maybe that's what farming really is. Trading the past for the possibility of tomorrow. Risking everything over and over for the chance to watch something grow. And as the last light faded from the field, I whispered to myself, maybe this time, it was worth it.